Howdy y'all, Wyrm here. This is just a very quick video from me on a simple topic. Are the Resistance relic weapons too easy to obtain? Now there's a number of reasons why the answer is yes and why the reason is no. And you have to look back on the past and to the other relics we've gotten in the other expansions to actually see how much easier it's actually gotten. Now if you take the Zodiac weapons for example in A Realm Reborn, you'll notice that it evolved over the entire span of A Realm Reborn, from the beginning to the end, and it went through a constant amount of steps that required a significant effort from the player to actually obtain them, and you had to do roughly around 5 or 6 steps in order to get your final relic, and that required some significant input from the player and actually to get to even one relic, let alone the entire set of relics, which is a major achievement in and of itself to get them all. Now if you compare A Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and then Shadowbringers, you'll notice a trend start to happen. Zodiac was a very difficult and long arduous road in order to get a relic. Then you proceed on to Heaven's Ward, which had a major road of its own and required a significant amount of grinding. However, it wasn't as bad, or you could say it was actually a little more difficult compared to A Realm Reborn, depending on how much effort it required. Then you move on to Stormblood and Eureka. Now Eureka, we had an entire arena around which to actually obtain our relic rather than doing it entirely outside, which we did with the last two. However, we had a straightforward path in terms of actually getting our relic itself. Now the first part of it was actually relatively straightforward. However, it requires significant progress on behalf of the player in order to get one of these relics, let alone the entire set, as you can see on screen. And this proceeded throughout the entire of Eureka, until it finally ended up with your final relic weapons, and this requires some major grinding. Now the problem people have at the moment is with the Resistance weapons in terms of the first stage and the second stage. If you compare the first stage with getting your first relic, it was pretty much just a tome hand-in, and that was pretty lackluster in the player base's eyes, including my own. I was just like, what is this? This makes no sense really. Where's the grind? We expect a grind. Now the grind was significantly different in this one because not only did we have an arena in the bozjan shut front in order to obtain our relic, we could also do it on the outside. Now that's a first, because Eureka had to be done entirely inside the instance, where the Resistance weapon you can do it inside and outside. Now this is the major reason why people think it's far too easy to actually obtain the second part of our relic, which is the Recollection. Now the Augmented and Recollection weapons required you to get items that are obtainable both inside the bozjan shut front. Now if you do it inside it only, it requires a significant grind. However, if you take advantage of the easier steps outside, you're able to grind through your relic in just a couple of hours. Now as a result, people already have full collections of the Recollection weapon, because once you actually rank up fully in the bozjan shut front and then you do your dailies and some fates, these relics are pretty trivial in all matters. There's no real work or reward left in it. I mean, I was so happy to get my Recollection relic, but at the end I was just kind of disappointed mainly because I've been playing since the beginning and I'm just used to having a significant grind and it requiring a significant effort for myself in order to work to gain one of these relics. So you feel a sort of connection to your relic because you work so hard on it. And these, it feels like I got carried through an entire instance in order to get them, because I don't feel the work. I mean, I love fates. I'd do fates forever if I could, but it just didn't feel right. It just felt far too easy. There was no real work, there was no real effort involved, and therefore I didn't get that connection with that weapon I'd worked so hard for, because I didn't work hard for it. I pretty much just sat there watching Netflix and then just grinding away, both in the bozjan shut front and outside in the fates and the dungeons. But this is where it all comes down to. People just think that these steps were far too easy. It's a complete difference compared to the relics we've gotten before. Now, I'm not really going to say Square Enix messed up in this, because they didn't, because this is just mainly on their path of actually making things easier to obtain. They've wanted to make relics more easier to obtain for the standard player than ever before. It's something they've stated in the past, and you can see from the trail going all the way through all these relic weapons that you can see has just been from Heaven's Ward onwards, it's just been getting easier. And now it's just easier than ever to get your relic, so everybody has access to it now. However, we've lost something because we don't have that significant grind, that significant effort in order to get it. Now this is where the player base is actually pretty upset about this. Now I said this was going to be a quick video, but it ended up rambling on for a few minutes, I'm assuming. I'm going to have to cut this in editing. But that's where I just want to draw the line there. The relic weapons compared to the relics we've gotten before are far too easy. I know it's only the second stage, we have at least 2 or 3 stages left in our relics, and hopefully they're going to get more difficult. Because the more we work, the more we put into it, the more we think we deserve these relics and that we worked hard for them. It's like going through Ultimate or a raid with your static. You felt like you worked for it. This just felt like a very simple grind, and it just didn't have that same... It didn't have that same magic that the other relics did, and that magic was a grind. However, we love our grind. That's it from me, guys. Have a good one.